Hey VC, how's it going? This is going to be my Vinyl Tag 2019. I've already watched a couple of these, obviously Andrew's, Steve Carlson's, um, First Pressing Goodness, and I think one other I'm forgetting right now, but thought I'd make mine. I figured first week of the year, it's, as good a time as any. Okay, so 20 questions here. I've got note cards, you can see. Question one is best find. I couldn't really narrow this down. I know I made a top five of my favorite finds of the year, and the number one on there was this record, the In a Silent Way, British pressing by Miles Davis. But I think I had to include basically that whole haul of British albums I had, like the English string band, self-titled, and Flying Burrito Brothers, Burrito Deluxe. I got a few more as well, but those are kind of the best three in my opinion. Number two, shout out VC members that need more subs or viewers in general. Let's see, I've got here Black Beans and Rice. I am kind of a new viewer of his, but I'm really enjoying what he's been putting out lately. Here's a big one, The Vinyl Douche. That's his channel name. I am blanking on his name right now, but he has something like, I don't want to say like less than 20 subscribers, but he likes, same with Black Beans and Rice and kind of all these guys. They like a big diverse selection of music. It seems like that's kind of the thing I look for with VC is musical discovery, as well as someone who can give their opinion on it eloquently, or at least passionately. So yeah, Black Beans and Rice, Vinyl Douche, Smokestack Records. It kind of scratches that itch I have to see, large collections being purchased or talked about, and kind of the cream of the crop of people's collections, that kind of thing. China Ditch Records, he's been around for a little while now. I think he always needs more subs, as well as I think a brand new one commented on one of my videos pretty recently, Spinning the Black Circle. I think he just joined up. He's got a few subs as far as I can see, but definitely could use some more. So that's 5 right there. Question number 3, holes in my collection I'm looking to fill this year. That is kind of a big question, because I feel like my collection as it stands right now is more whole than it is collection. You know what I mean? There's more things that I want versus what I already have, or more things that I don't even know that I want yet, if that makes sense. But stuff in particular I'm looking to focus on is always, the kind of classic punk, 80s alternative, even a little bit of metal. Lately I've been dabbling in, as well as, 60s stuff is always huge with me. I feel like the 60s are always a hole to dig deeper and deeper into, which like more and more obscure bands, as well as rare records from bands that I like. Like, I don't own any Love records. I'd love to own some Love. I need some more replacements. This is the only one I own by them. I need more Big Black, Black Flag, Butthole Surfers, pretty much anything on SST. Yeah, just there's more stuff that I want than what I have. Okay, question 4 is a cheap album that's actually good. I see these all the time in dollar bins. I feel like people pass them up. Just records by The Association. This one's called Windy. So The Association, I think they've kind of gotten knocked for, kind of being a case of they basically get like a bunch of young guys to sing, and then they act like they are a band, but they're kind of just like singers with a bunch of session musicians. That being said, I think the session musicians on here are the the Wrecking Crew. Why couldn't I think of that? Pretty well-known studio musicians in the LA area. So the music's good. It's just great 60s pop, and you see these all the time for $1 or $2. Definitely no more than like $3 or $4. So yeah, pick up copies of these where you can, or at least give them a try. A side project album. So everyone knows King Crimson. Everyone knows Robert Fripp. I don't think as many people know about, or at least have listened to, his side projects with Brian Eno. This is probably my favorite out of the couple or at least full album projects or collaborations that they did. This is just, you know, you combine the weirdness, the weird side of Robert Fripp with the weird side of Brian Eno, and you get really cool sort of experiments like No Pussyfooting or Evening Star, as well as, you know, collaborations like he plays guitar on a couple of his tracks, things like that. Yeah, I really like Fripp's collaborative work with Eno in general. An album uncharacteristic for a band. So I've talked about the band Foxing quite a lot on my channel. They're kind of a newer thing. I think their first album came out in like 2013. They had another one in like 2015, and they put one out in 2018 that is, I want to say, probably my favorite album of the year. It's Nearer My God. They were kind of lumped in with that whole emo revival, Midwest emo revival scene, and this still has elements of that, but they're branching more into adventurous territory. There's some electronics on here. The songwriting is different, more diverse. It just has a really great sound. If you're into stuff like Manchester Orchestra, brand new, they're kind of more going in a direction like that. Even stuff like Grizzly Bear, Radiohead. If you like stuff like that, maybe give it a shot. Foxing, Nearer My God. Pretty uncharacteristic for them. I'm really excited to see where they go. So the last album I purchased, I haven't bought anything since, I think that was December 23rd was my last purchase, but I haven't shown any of those yet. That'll be my next video. It'll be vinyl finds for December. This is kind of a sneak peek. I mentioned I've been looking for a nice copy of Beggar's Banquet. Finally found one. Great price. It's so new to me that I haven't sleeved it or replaced the paper inner sleeve yet. It's still got the you know, London sleeve, which I don't get rid of. I just kind of put a poly sleeve in there with it, and it's on the blue London label, original press. Finally own this one. It's one of my favorite Stones records. When did this come out? 68. Right in that sweet spot of the Stones for me, where they were just, you know, putting out killer music. So that was the last one I purchased, or part of the last haul that I had. A good album with a bad cover. I'll nominate David Bowie's Scary Monsters and Super Freaks. I don't think this is his best album. It's definitely really solid. You know, big hits like Ashes to Ashes. Teenage Wildlife is great. It's No Game, Up the Hill Backwards. The cover, I think, is kind of atrocious. I don't know. I don't know what that is. It's I think this came out in 1980, so it's kind of you know, I feel like it's dated. It was probably good at the time, or maybe it wasn't. I don't know, but I'm not a really big fan of this cover. Great album though. Okay, so now a bad album with a good cover. So this was kind of actually the biggest question on here for me, or the one I had the most trouble with, the longest it took to answer. I don't really own any records that I would call bad. I kind of tend to avoid buying things that I don't enjoy. I feel like that's not such a crazy thing to say. I will say that my girlfriend owns this record, The Lumineers, self-titled. I don't think it's bad. It's not really my thing. I do think the cover's pretty nice though. It's just kind of satisfying design, and I know it's kind of a cliche at this point, but I always do enjoy a good old photograph on an album cover. So yeah, maybe that shows you guys how little I know about art. Maybe the Bowie cover is really great, and maybe the Lumineers cover is really bad. I don't know. I know nothing about visual art. So a blues album. Everyone's showing, I feel like, Some Muddy Waters, Lightning Hopkins, and that's another hole in the fill in my collection because I don't really own too much of any of that. I will show this comp that was recommended by Danny at Not Enough Records. It's Last Kind Words. It was put out by this label that I'm blanking on, and they don't have their label on the artwork anywhere. Little Axe Records is on the insert here. It's kind of a compilation of songs recorded, what is it, 1926 to 1953. So kind of that old, recorded from 78s. And I'm also partway through reading Do Not Sell at Any Price, a book about 78s and 78 collectors. And, they talk about how a lot of the original masters are just gone, completely lost. They were tossed in a river, a lot of them. And so the only surviving location for a lot of this music is on the 78s that were purchased by people. And some of them are so rare, there's only like 2 or 3 copies known in the entire world. So luckily we get stuff like this and the Yazoo comps to kind of put them all on accessible media that we can all listen to. That's good for history, honestly, archiving. An Earworm song. What did I pick? I picked some Blondie. And there's a couple of Earworm songs that they have. Every time I hear the song Tide is High off of this one, it's stuck in my head all day, all week. That's just a great melody, kind of a white reggae sound. And Blondie's a great band. Earworm. Number 12, historically important artist. I was contemplating picking some other people, but I couldn't justify not picking Bob Dylan. In my opinion, one of the most influential artists of all time. There's no telling how many people he inspired to pick up an acoustic guitar and learn, all the basic chords to play Bob Dylan songs. Including myself, he was a big part of him and the Beatles, and I think like the Who for some reason, a big part of me wanting to pick up guitar, and you just kind of learn the basics, a little bit of what I can. And songwriting is not something I'm great at, but he inspired me to try at least, so that was fun. And what was I gonna say? Blown in the Wind is one of the most covered songs of all time, in an official sense, and probably in an unofficial sense as well, because of how influential it is. So yeah, I couldn't justify picking anything other than Dylan. Record I own because of my parents. So this is fun, because since I'm, a younger guy, my parents were teenagers in the 80s, and they liked really good music. So lucky me, I got to be exposed to all that as I was a kid. This is New Order, Power, Corruption, and Lies, one of my favorite records of all time, and I own it because of my parents directly, as well as Joy Division, and even like stuff like Blondie, Echo and the Bunnymen, The Cure, everything from the 80s. A good dollar bin find. So I just showed one I picked up from this year that I didn't show in my top finds of the year video, although I think it was a runner-up. I want to say it was like number 6 or 7. This Pharoah Sanders record I've definitely shown before. Let Us Go Into the House of the Lord, Deaf, Dumb, Blind. Great spiritual jazz, really emotional, soulful music, featuring Pharoah Sanders on the Impulse label. Good dollar find. Really love the B-side on that one. Favorite double album. So, in an effort to not talk about OK Computer for the 100th time, I'm going to talk about my next favorite, which is Sufjan Stevens' Illinois. This is a really cool copy of this, by the way, because it's the original. There's a picture of Superman under here. This balloon thing is a sticker. They had to cover it up in order to avoid a lawsuit. Asthmatic Kitty Records, they had to do that. There's also some CDs floating around with the Superman thing, but they later reprinted it to just be balloons. So yeah, this I feel like in a weird way, maybe it wasn't, but it feels like it was recorded and sequenced with vinyl in mind, because the track listing just flows so well, even on LP. A lot of times whenever an album's so long, like OK Computer, it just kind of has to get broken up because of the length, and it doesn't flow quite as well. But the breaks, whenever you have to flip sides or change records on here, I think are placed well, and they don't really take away from the album at all. So a great experience on double LP, and this is commonly available. Not the original cover, but you know, all the reprints. I think it's like a $20 record. That's not bad at all for a double LP. Um, an album I learned about in the VC. The first one that popped into my head was I have to thank Steve at Flipside CT for showing this semi recently, definitely in this past year. Naturally by JJ Cale. That cover really drew me in immediately, and I think he had it playing in the background as well. If you like kind of Americana, country-esque, light, breezy rock music from the 70s, you'll enjoy this, definitely. And there's some good playing on here as well. A good guitar album. So thanks, Steve. 10-inch record. So I can't avoid talking about Radiohead in at least once a video. It's The King of Limbs. This is also on a standard 12-inch LP, but the 10-inch version is the deluxe one. It's what they call the newspaper edition, so it comes in like this package like a newspaper. It comes with an actual newspaper, which I won't show the whole thing, but it is a real like 20-page newspaper or something like that. There's a track list on the back of the newspaper. You know, it's a full print. It feels very delicate like a newspaper, so I am very hesitant to ever pull it out. And then it comes, you know, with a CD and the 10-inch cover. It's a double 10-inch, as a lot of the Radiohead stuff is. There's the original artwork. It comes with some paraphernalia, blotter paper, and it's on clear vinyl? Question mark? Yeah, it is. There you go. One of the coolest things I own. I always, it's always, you know, a real treat to pull this package out and just marvel at the effort that went into the packaging. And that one's cool. A 7-inch record. I'll just show one that I found from this year. It's a cool promo copy of Tell Me Why by Frigid Pink, as well as Cry and Shame. They're both off of their self-titled, pretty sure it's their debut, Frigid Pink with a pink cover. Just great, fuzzy, proto-punk, garage, psychedelic, 60s goodness. I really kind of underestimated how much I would like it. I also underestimated how much I would play it this year. I've been playing this pretty frequently. Good record to fall asleep to. I'll show the only record I've ever fallen asleep to. That is Brian Eno. Again, I'm talking about Eno. Apollo, Atmospheres and Soundtracks. This thing is so relaxing, as is a lot of his ambient stuff, that it was like the middle of the day. I just put it on, I laid in bed, and before I knew, I was asleep before side one was even over. I woke up to the sound of the ticking and the dead wax. It's just, you know, beautiful ambient music, pretty soft, pretty spacey a lot of times, pun intended. And one of his most popular ambient tracks is on here. It's called An Ending Ascent. That is just a beautiful, beautiful piece. And then the second side gets into, you know, there's a little bit of light guitar playing. Very nice, peaceful record. Question 20, favorite VC experience? I really just, it's hard to narrow down to one experience in the VC. I really love just kind of the fact that it exists, you know, everyone kind of interacting with each other, you know, bouncing off each other, like, have you heard this? Check this out. I've gotten tons of great recommendations. And speaking of recommendations, I'm doing my project this year where I listen to a new album every day. So if you have some good suggestions for me that you haven't shown me talk about, I definitely love to hear those. And, you know, I love participating in contests when I can. I love watching VC videos, obviously, as simple as that sounds. It's kind of, I've heard people say this before, but I definitely agree with, it's like my TV. I don't really enjoy too many TV shows. I much prefer to kind of just turn on YouTube, go see what has been recently uploaded by the VC members, and just watch all those. And that's hours and hours of content. It's in fact it's so much that I feel like I'll never be able to watch everything, and that is kind of the sad thing about it. But it also is pretty cool, just to think about how big the VC is, how diverse. There's channels on the VC that have like tons of subscribers, hundreds or thousands even, that I've never interacted with, and have never interacted with me, and that's kind of cool in a way to me, because it just shows how big it is. So yeah, it's cool to be a part of that. And as far as experiences, the whole comic book thing was cool, aside from kind of some of the drama that came out of that. And another cool thing about that is there's very little drama at all. People that cause that don't really seem to upload videos anyway, or they kind of do for a little bit and then fizzle out. It's just it's interesting. In any group there will be drama, but it's definitely to a minimum in here. But yeah, the comic book thing, Tales from the Dead Wax, all the contests, all the cool contest winnings that people show, all the VCLT that goes around, and yeah, just the community is my favorite part of it. And part two of that question is advice for people thinking about making videos. I've said it before, and I've heard people say it in their vinyl tag videos, but you just kind of have to do it. I think my first video actually was vinyl tag, I want to say 2017. And that's another piece of advice. If you're not sure what to do for your first video, just do the vinyl tag. The questions are there; they're laid out. Another good thing to do is for your first video is maybe do a contest entry for somebody. Again, because it provides structure. You don't have to really come up with a whole concept yourself. You just kind of answer questions. And some advice, maybe once you start getting into it, that I haven't heard people say yet, is try not to, I guess I would say, just pace yourself. Like sit on your good ideas for a little while, really think about them, and don't like rush it out there. You gotta pace yourself. Don't burn yourself out, because if you use all your good ideas in the first 6 months, you're gonna run out of things to talk about pretty quickly. So and that's something that even people that have been in the VC for a long time can acknowledge, and have acknowledged, that it is hard to come up with good ideas for videos aside from vinyl finds. But as much as I say that, vinyl finds still are consistently the most viewed videos of mine. I think there's a large silent majority out there that just likes to watch vinyl find videos and not comment and not thumbs up and not subscribe. That's just kind of how it is. That's how it's going to go on YouTube. So yeah, I think I'm kind of rambling at this point, but that's all pretty good advice, I would say. And again, you gotta do it. Just gotta get in front of the camera. You'll get used to it. I know everyone has said this as well. The early videos that you do aren't going to be as good. Like, I definitely feel like my early videos are not as good as my current ones, and in a weird way I also feel like my current ones are not as excited as my early ones. It's like a weird balance you have to keep. But keep up the good fight, get into the good fight in the first place, and it's just fun. Just have fun. That's the biggest thing. Alright, so that's the vinyl tag. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of yours, those that want to do it. And again, music recommendations. I'm really looking for some cool stuff to listen to. Also, I've been kind of cataloging my 365 albums project on my Instagram. My Instagram story, I just post, a screenshot of Spotify. That's what I'm listening to that day. And day 5 is today. I listened to Ozma's debut record, Rock and Roll Part 3. I've never listened to the whole thing before. That is some good music. Ozma, Ozma. So yeah, again, rambling. Thanks for watching. Thanks for making 2018 a really great year in the VC for everybody, not just myself. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.